When you defund the police, you shouldn't be surprised when you get more crime. When you pay people not to work, you shouldn't be surprised when you can't find workers. When you tell people they can't be evicted, you shouldn't be surprised when they quit paying their rent. When you double government spending, you shouldn't be surprised when you get record inflation. When you project weakness from the Oval Office, you shouldn't be surprised that bad people do bad things to Americans around the world. And when 15 days to slow the spread turns into 2 years of attacks on our liberty, you shouldn't be surprised when Americans begin to lose a little faith in their government. Right? That is... When the Commander-in-Chief, when the President of the United States says it's an extraordinary success, and he's talking about a 4-week time period where 13 service members lost their lives, where Americans were left behind, allies were left behind, billions of dollars of equipment and weapons were left behind, you shouldn't be surprised when some Americans say it's time for him to resign. That's the situation we're in. And it is all... I mean, think about this. It's all changed in 8 months. I mean, we went from we can run down the list. We went from a secure border to chaos. The border was secured just 8 months ago, before Joe Biden was sworn in as President of the United States. And now I say this every single interview I do, just to remind Americans how bad it is, and to show them that it's actually deliberate, it's actually intentional now. It has to be. No rational conclusion you can reach. March was the highest month on record for illegal crossings until the month of April. April was the highest month until the month of May. May was the highest month until the month of June. And June was the highest month until July, when 212,000 illegal crossings took place on our southern border. My guess is when the August numbers come out, they'll be higher yet. That is a bad trend. And again, the only logical conclusion any rational person can reach is this is intentional. And when you have a commander-in-chief of the greatest country in history who allows that to happen, it's scary. We went, think about this one, we went from energy independence to the President of the United States begging OPEC to increase production. But we went from relatively safe cities to the crime that we've seen 5 weekends ago, I think it was, in Chicago alone. 12 people were murdered in 1 weekend. I mean, we went again from stable prices to inflation. We went from peace in the Middle East to thousands of rockets being fired on our friend and ally, the state of Israel, and of course, the debacle we witnessed over the last several weeks in Afghanistan. So it is critical that we're involved. Warren is right. It is about saving this great nation, the greatest country ever. And Warren's right. It's the best thing going. Still the best thing going in spite of Joe Biden and the Democrats. There was 1 week last spring. Think about this. In a 5-day period, just to give you a snapshot of how crazy the left has become. There was 1 week last spring where the week started out on Monday with Congresswoman Tlaib saying we should get rid of police. We got some great officers around here. Thank you for your service, all you guys. Thank you. Now I've been in politics a long time, and I've seen a lot of stupid ideas, a lot of stupid policy proposals, but I've never seen one as dumb as defund the police. But she went even further. The Monday of that week, Congresswoman Tlaib said we should get rid of police. Then the week ended, if you remember this particularly, the week ended on that weekend with the trial judge in Minneapolis admonishing Maxine Waters for the ridiculous things she said while the jury was deliberating in that trial. Remember that? Remember the week? In between those two events, in the United States House of Representatives, the Democrats passed legislation to make the District of Columbia state so they could get 2 new U.S. senators. And the very next day, they introduced the bill to add 4 new associate justices to the United States Supreme Court, to back the courts. All that happened in 5 days. This is how radical the left is. And so I came tonight mostly just to say thank you. Thank you for being in the game. Thank you for electing good people. I mean, we got great state reps here, state senators. We got our Secretary of State who's doing a great job. You got great local officials. You got Josh running for Senate, who was our former treasurer. You got the best congressman in the entire country. You really do. I say this. There's some people in politics who you wish weren't, right? We call them Democrats, right? Yeah. And then there are people like your member of Congress, a good man, smart man. It never hurts to have smart people in positions of leadership. It never does. And your guy is smart. He's committed to the principles that make America special. And you know, you got a guy who served our country, who's got his MBA, who is a successful business guy, who loves his wife and his kids. And I mean, Warren and Lisa are Polly and some of Polly and I's best friends. We hang out with them all the time. They're good people. You got a great member. Send him back as long as he keeps running. Keep sending him back, because he is fighting the good fight. He is doing what Paul told Timothy. My favorite scripture verse, 2 Timothy 4:7, says, "Fight the good fight, finish the course, keep the faith." And I tell people all the time, I love that verse because it's not a sissy verse. It's not a wimpy verse. It's a verse about America. Fight, finish, keep. Action words. Americans aren't timid folks. We're people of action. Always have been. That's your congressman. And so thank you for sending him there. He is doing a great job. And like I said, my best buddy in the United States Congress. And thank you for your chairman and the folks who lead your party. Yeah, clap for Warren. That's even better. We appreciate this party and the great work that your chairman and your team do here. Great county parties make the strength of a good state. I mean, there's a reason President Trump won it by 8 points. Not only did he do what he said he was going to do, but we got a great party organization, great people helping him out. So thank you for all those great officials. Thank you for helping President Trump. I mean, Warren said it. No one has done more of what they said they would do than this president. Best president, certainly in my lifetime, maybe in the history of this great nation. I remember last fall, I kept saying this every time because I just like, but again, we're so used to people saying one thing at election time, getting to office, and coming up with a million reasons why they can't do what they said they were going to do and why you elected them. And they make up all these excuses. President Trump said, I'm just going to do it. Remember, he said he was going to cut taxes. He did. He said he was going to reduce regulations. He did. He said he was going to have the best economy in history. We did. Unemployment was lower than it had been in 50 years. He said he was going to put conservatives on the court. He did. Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Coney Barrett. He said he was going to get out of the Iran deal. He did. He said he was going to put the embassy in Jerusalem. Now think about this one. We talk about this Joe upstairs. Think about this. Every presidential candidate, both parties, in the last 20, 25 years, when they run for the job, they say, if you elect me, I will put the embassy in Jerusalem. They all say it, Republican, Democrat. And then whoever gets elected, they get in office, and the State Department personnel, the bureaucracy knows everything, thinks they're all smarter than us regular folks. They say, oh no, you can't do that. And they come up with all these reasons why they can't do, again, what they promised to do when they campaigned for the job, and why you elected them. President Trump got in there and said, I'm going to do it. Oh no, you can't do it. I told the voters I was going to do it. They elected. He did it, and it was great. It was fine. This president has stood up to him. I want him to run again so bad. Because he's proven he can take on everyone, get done what he said in spite of all the Democrats against him, all the mainstream press against him, some of the Republicans against him, and all the bureaucracy against him, and yet he still had the most successful presidency in our lifetime. So thank you. So Warren and I mean, I'm sure many of you had a chance to meet him, but I've told every single group I've spoke to, I wish every single American had a chance to spend time with President Trump. Because when you're around him, you cannot help but like him. There is just an energy about this guy. He thinks like an athlete. He hates losing. I mean, I tell people, he hates losing, I think, more than he likes winning. He hates it. He's got that American attitude, like he loves to compete, he wants to win, and he loves our troops, he loves our veterans, he loves our law enforcement, and most importantly, he just likes regular people like all of us. He likes the folks that make America just the regular great nation that we are. And he's tough as nails. I was talking with him, I've told this story many times, but I feel fortunate. I get to talk to him every week, but this was a couple years ago, before the first impeachment. And so he called me. Yeah, that's right. He's been impeached twice. It's crazy. It just shows again how crazy the Democrats are. So this is back during the whole Mueller investigation, all this, and before the first meeting. So he just called me out. I was in the Capitol, and he calls me. Get the call from the President Trump. So I just duck in this room, and it was one of these empty kind of meeting rooms, and I was just sort of pacing around the table talking with the president. And I don't know, we were talking about the Mueller investigation and Jim Comey and some other. But at some point in the conversation, I don't know why, but I don't know why I brought it up, but I said, Mr. President, I know what I get. I know how the press lies about me, CNN, MSNBC, and the Washington Post, and all the lies and ridiculous things, all the fake news, all the stuff about me. So I know how I get it. And I said, but you get it every day, every stinking day, every second of every day they're after you. And he goes, so President Trump, he goes, well, Jim, what are you gonna do? He goes, you gonna go over in the corner, get in the fetal position, start sucking your thumb? He goes, we gotta fight back. You know? I'm like, I agree, Mr. President. And that is exactly the attitude we need. So I want him to run again. He's proven he can take it on. So thank you for helping President Trump over the last several years. And I think he is going to run. I really do. I think he hasn't announced it, and maybe it'll change, but I see every indication he's going to, and I think he's the leader of our party. He was a great leader of our country. I want him to do it. Most importantly, thank you for being in the game. I probably say this to every group I get a chance to speak to. I learned a long time ago, good things in life don't just happen. If you want to accomplish anything of meaning, anything of significance, anything that has lasting value, it takes work, it takes effort, it takes sacrifice. That's just the way the good Lord made it. Most importantly, it takes a willingness to assume the risk associated with trying to do something worthwhile. Because there's always the risk you're going to fail. There's always the risk you're going to get attacked. There's always the risk that something's going to happen. And today, when you get involved in politics, oh my goodness, there's the risk that the cancel culture mob, the left-wing press are going to come after you. Even if you're just like, you're running for school board now, the left comes after you, the cancel culture mob. Barry Weiss, who resigned from the New York Times, and she wasn't conservative. She was actually on the left, but she resigned because she was so sick of the cancel culture and limiting what you could say, what you could write about. In her resignation letter, she said, if you engage in wrong speak, you engage in wrong think, you will face the digital thunderdome from the cancel culture mob. And I love that term she used, the digital thunderdome. They will attack you, they will attack your family, they will attack your employer. And you get involved today defending the principles that make America special as a conservative Republican, you're going to get attacked. So I want to thank you for being in the game. And when you do it, we know how the press is. Always, though, remember, we talk with our colleagues about this. If the press isn't saying something bad about you, you're probably not doing anything any good. That's just how it works, right? You guys, there's a great Cal Thomas, syndicated columnist, has a great line when he's talking about the way normal people in Butler County see things versus the elite national media. You know, the New York Times and the Washington Post. All these people think they're better than us regular folks. And Cal Thomas says, I get up every morning, I read my Bible in the New York Times so I can see what each side's up to. A lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. So thank you for being in the game, electing good officials, supporting President Trump. And here's why it's so important, and I'll finish with this. Today, the left controls just about everything. Stop and think about it. Left controls big media. Left controls big tech. The left controls big corporations. The left now controls big sports. Just watch the NBA, right? The left controls Hollywood. The left controls higher education. The left controls the White House. The left controls the bureaucracy. The left controls the United States Senate. The left controls the United States House of Representatives. But they don't control we the people. They don't control... So, we gotta, and the other thing, frankly, the other thing they don't control, this is so important. The founders in their wisdom, it was all about protecting liberty, all about protecting personal freedom and liberty. So they set up the separate and equal branches in Washington, the checks and balances that we all know in our amazing structure under our Constitution. But they also set up the federal system, where states get a pushback. Why do you think they're going so hard after our former colleague and friend, Governor DeSantis? Because he's pushing back for liberty, for freedom. That's why that's why the press is going after. So they don't control states. States can push back. It happened right here in Ohio. Now, we had to push back a little bit on our own governor, right? But when they overrode his veto, limiting the power to shut our state down, these guys used to commend them all for what they did. That was huge. So states can push back as well, and that's what we got to do. The final thing I'll maybe say here is this. Warren is right. I think we're going to take it back. I think Americans are so fed up with this Biden administration, with Schumer, Pelosi, and all they're doing. There's a great line in that movie. Any of you ever watched the movie 1776, the musical? It's one of our family's favorites. If you haven't watched it, it's an old movie. Came out in 1976 during the bicentennial. Watch it. But it's about those key people that hot summer in Philadelphia who drafted the document that proclaimed to the world, declared to the world why it was appropriate to do what they were getting ready to do. And as they're putting this document together, Adams is the driving force. He's the one who wants to get this document out there, and the Declaration of Independence, and Jefferson writes it, of course. But the movie starts, if you remember, if you've seen it, with Adams walking down from the bell tower, as he's going to walk into that hall where they had this long debate that summer. And as he walks in, there's a colleague standing there, and John Adams says to him, he says, "One useless man is a disgrace. 2 are a law firm, and 3 or more are a Congress. And I have had it with this Congress." Remember that? That I think is the American people's attitude right now. There's a reason Joe Biden's approval ratings are in like the 30s right now. Because everything he's touched, he's done wrong. So I think there is fixing to be a big change in 14 months. Between now and then, though, we got to help anyone stand up and defend anyone who gets attacked, like I said earlier. Think about these school board races. I mean, there's in D.C. now. There's not as our schools are doing good jobs, here in Ohio. But in some places, it's crazy. They are teaching this critical race theory, which is a Marxist ideology, hate America curriculum that's just terrible. So right outside of D.C. in Loudoun County, Virginia, school board race is big, and I'm convinced some of these moms who are running for school board are going to win. And in a few years, they're going to be in the United States Congress kicking butt there, too. I just can see it coming. It's like, your state reps and Frank and Josh and Moore and I, we've all had to deal with lobbyists from time to time. But I've often said, no high-paid lobbyist will ever beat a mom on a mission. And these moms are on a mission to make sure their kids are getting the right kind of education. That's the attitude we need. Help those people out. And finally, remember this. It's still, as I said earlier, it's still the best country ever, the greatest nation ever. I just finished McCullough's book. If you haven't read David McCullough's written a number of great books, but I just finished the one on the Wright brothers. Amazing book about these 2 guys from just up the road, and what they were committed to having that plane take off and then landing it again successfully. They were going to be the first to do it, and they didn't take a penny. Not a penny from the guy. They did it. It was all trial and error through their toughness with their own money. They made it happen. It's a great book. The book starts off interesting. McCullough starts the book off by saying, someone once asked Wilbur Wright, said, "What's it take to be successful?" And he said, "Pick out 2 good parents and be born in Ohio." And it was, but the truth is that statement should be, pick out 2 good parents and be born in America, a place where freedom matters. My background is a sport of wrestling. I've had the opportunity to travel I've been to Cuba twice. I've been to the Soviet Union. I tell folks, you go to places like that, you thank the good Lord you live here. I was in 1987, February, I was in Moscow. I tell people, Moscow in February, it's like 400 below zero. It's the worst place. The food was terrible. It's the Wizard of Oz in reverse. You went from colorful, wonderful United States of America to black and white and gray and dismal Soviet Union. Cuba's a warm Soviet Union. I was there in 88 and 1990. Tell folks it's Gilligan's Island with terrible food. They were in 1988 they were driving 59 Chevys in Cuba. In 1990 in Cuba they were driving 59 Chevys. My guess is in 2021 in Cuba they're still driving 59 Chevys. And again, it's never about the people. We're all regular people. We all need God's grace. Cuban athletes are amazing. The Russian athletes. It's when you have a system that doesn't recognize liberty and freedom and the rule of law and private property rights that bad things happen. And that's exactly where the left wants to take us. The Wright brothers, amazing guys. This probably happened, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. Polly and I have some good friends. We live up near Urbana. We have some good friends down in Dayton. Called us and said, it was this time of year, summertime of year, they said, would you, can you be free for dinner? We said, yeah, we're free for dinner. We'd love to come down. They said, well, before we go to dinner, we're going to tour the Wright brothers' home. And we said, great, we like that. The house we live in, raised our family in, was built in 1837. We like old homes and all this. It's great. We'd love to. So we go down, we meet them there at the Wright brothers' home in Dayton. And the tour guide takes you through the home, and you learn all these neat things about these 2 amazing Ohioans, 2 amazing Americans. You learn about the bicycle shop and the gadgets and gizmos and different things they tinkered with and invented, and it was fascinating. The final stop on the tour is one of the brothers' bedrooms. And I don't remember I don't remember which one. It was Wilbur or Orville. I don't remember. But in that room, they tell you a few more things about this particular Wright brother, and then they show you two pictures. They show you two pictures. First picture they hold up, that very first flight, 1903, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. And when I saw that picture, I'm like, first thing I thought of is, how did that thing get off the ground? You know, and the truth is, it barely did. It get, you know, so many feet off the ground, flew like 120 feet. But you saw that picture, and I'm like, I kind of remember that from school, you know, 7th, 8th grade, whenever you learn that in history class in school. I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of neat. They put that picture down, hold up a second picture. 1947, Chuck Yeager breaking the sound barrier. And I was like, wow, that I didn't know. I mean, maybe I wasn't paying attention that day in school or something, but I didn't know that. And I saw that picture, like, that's amazing. In 44 years, two guys flying like 100 feet in this contraption they called a plane, to a guy in a jet breaking the sound barrier in 44 years. And they put that picture down, and Polly and I are walking out, literally walking out, and all of a sudden it hits me. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I represent Wapakoneta, Ohio, hometown of Neil Armstrong. Why in the heck did they stop there? I mean, think about it. Think about this. Because 22 years after Chuck Yeager breaks the sound barrier, Neil Armstrong steps on the moon. Right? In 66 years, one lifetime, we went from two guys from this great state flying 100 feet to another guy from this great state, another American stepping on the moon. Don't ever let anyone tell you this is not the greatest nation in history, and it is worth fighting for every single day. God bless y'all.